Welcome to our deep dive, into the AI world, specifically this company called DeepSeek. They've been making some waves, let me tell you, both in the tech world and in the U.S. economy.
Yeah, they really have.
We're going to be looking at some excerpts from this document called China Exposed: The Truth Behind DeepSeek AI Lies. And it makes some pretty interesting claims
Oh yeah.
about this new player.
hmm
So think of this as like your shortcut to understanding, what's all this buzz about and why it matters to you.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about DeepSeek is how quickly they've kind of become a major player in the AI world, right? I mean, their ChatGPT alternative R1 launched, and suddenly everybody was talking about them from Silicon Valley to Wall Street.
Yeah, the document actually says that their launch caused like $1 trillion drop in the U.S. stock market.
Wow.
And they specifically talk about, companies like Meta, Oracle, and Alphabet being affected.
Wow.
So what is it about DeepSeek that caused such a reaction?
Well, one factor is how quickly and cheaply they say they developed R1. Their reported budget was only $5.5 million compared to the billions spent by companies like OpenAI.
Right.
And they claim to have done it all using NVIDIA H800 GPUs.
Now, for those who might not know, GPUs are graphics processing units. They're basically specialized electronic circuits that accelerate the creation of images, videos, and in this case, AI models.
Exactly.
And the H800 is a powerful GPU, no doubt, but it's not quite as powerful as the industry standard H100s. And it's subject to much stricter export controls.
That's right. And that's what's fueling a lot of the debate. Some experts are skeptical that they could achieve these kind of results with the H800s, and others, like Elon Musk, have even suggested that DeepSeek has found ways to get a hold of those more advanced H100s despite the export controls. There's even rumors of Chinese companies using Singapore as like a front to purchase these chips from NVIDIA.
So you have DeepSeek claiming to have built this, cutting-edge AI for a fraction of the cost, using less powerful hardware.
So then that leads to the next question. Is R1 truly original, or is it based on ChatGPT?
Well, the document points out some really striking similarities between R1 and ChatGPT in terms of their capabilities and performance. There's even this anecdote that when somebody asked R1 directly, it actually identified itself as a ChatGPT model.
Wow, that's an interesting detail. It's like a little AI identity crisis there.
Yeah, right.
But, beyond the humor, it raises some serious questions about the origins of their technology.
It really does, especially when you consider that huge difference in development costs and timelines between R1 and ChatGPT. It does suggest that DeepSeek may have leveraged existing technology instead of starting from scratch.
And the document also mentions that DeepSeek's R1 is open source.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means and why it's relevant here?
Sure. Open source basically means that the code behind the software is publicly available. Anyone can look at it, modify it, and even distribute it.
Now, on the one hand, this is great for transparency and collaboration. Developers from all over the world can contribute to the project and build upon it. But on the other hand, some argue that DeepSeek might be using this open source approach to kind of mask where their technology really came from.
See.
By making the code public, it's harder to tell if R1 is a truly unique creation or if it borrows heavily from existing AI models.
So it adds another layer of complexity to this whole story.
Yeah, it has.
So let's say for the sake of argument that DeepSeek did copy aspects of U.S. AI technology. What would be the motivation for doing that?
Well, the document explores several potential motives. The first is China's ambition to catch up to the U.S. in this AI race. The U.S. has been a leader in AI research and development for a long time, and China wants to close that gap. Copying existing technology could be seen as a shortcut to speed up their progress.
That makes sense strategically, but wouldn't there be risks in taking that kind of shortcut?
Definitely. Relying too heavily on copying could end up stifling original innovation in the long run. But there are other motives to consider as well. You see, AI is becoming more and more critical for national security, things like military surveillance and economic intelligence. And China might be motivated to acquire these advanced AI capabilities quickly so they can have a strategic advantage in these areas.
And we can't ignore the economic side of things either, right? Like copying existing technology is always cheaper and faster than developing it from scratch.
Exactly. Developing a cutting-edge AI like ChatGPT requires massive investments in research talent and computing power. Copying a successful model lets you skip all of that and potentially undercut your competitors in the market.
Yeah, and the document actually cites several examples of alleged Chinese tech theft from U.S. companies in the past. They talk about companies like DuPont Micron Technology, Tesla, and Corning.
Right. And these cases highlight the ongoing concerns surrounding intellectual property protection and technology transfer, especially in the context of U.S.-China relations. Now, these accusations are often contested, but they do contribute to a sense of mistrust and tension between the two countries, particularly when it comes to this technological competition.
It's true, and this brings us to a very sensitive topic: DeepSeek's potential ties to the Chinese government and what that means for U.S. national security. The document claims that DeepSeek has repeatedly avoided answering questions about the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, and this lack of transparency has fueled suspicions that they might be subject to censorship and control by the CCP. It raises concerns about whether DeepSeek's technology could be used for things that are not in line with U.S. interests or values.
And then there's the whole issue of data. The document states that DeepSeek is very open of the fact that user data is stored on servers in China.
Yeah.
And that raises some big concerns about data privacy, especially given China's history of government surveillance and data control.
It's a valid concern. Critics argue that storing sensitive user data on Chinese servers could expose it to access by the Chinese government, even if DeepSeek claims that's not the case. This has led some to label DeepSeek as a potential threat to U.S. national security.
So we have a pretty complex situation here. On the one hand, DeepSeek is presenting itself as a groundbreaking AI company with innovative solutions. But on the other hand, there are these serious concerns about their potential ties to the Chinese government, their data practices, and the origins of their technology. It seems like DeepSeek's rapid rise has put both the U.S. economy and the AI industry kind of on edge.
Absolutely. The situation raises a lot of questions about fair competition, intellectual property, national security, and the future of AI development. It's a reminder that technological advancements are rarely simple. They often come with these complicated geopolitical and ethical considerations.
It's true. Before we go on to explore the potential consequences of DeepSeek's rise and how the U.S. might address these concerns, let's consider the other side of the coin. Could there actually be some benefits to having a company like DeepSeek in the AI arena?
That's an important question to ask. Competition, even from a potentially controversial player like DeepSeek, can be a powerful driver of innovation. It forces everyone to step up their game and come up with better solutions.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. So even if some of DeepSeek's methods are questionable, their presence could push the entire AI industry forward.
It's possible. And don't forget, DeepSeek's R1 model is known for its transparency. It can actually show you its internal reasoning process, which is something ChatGPT doesn't do. ChatGPT just gives you a final answer. This transparency could be really valuable for building trust in AI systems and helping users understand how they arrive at their conclusions.
So instead of getting a black box answer, you can actually see the steps the AI took to get there. That could be a big step forward in making AI more understandable and trustworthy.
Absolutely. And then there's the benefit of DeepSeek being open source. This allows for collaboration and customization on a global scale. Developers can build upon their work, tailor it to specific needs, and create a more diverse and dynamic AI ecosystem.
It's almost like democratizing AI technology, making it more accessible to developers and researchers all over the world. That could lead to a burst of creativity and innovation that benefits everyone.
It's a compelling argument, and we can't overlook the cost-effectiveness of their approach either. Their ability to develop these sophisticated AI models at a fraction of the cost of their competitors could make AI more accessible to smaller companies and startups, which would encourage even more innovation in new and unexpected ways.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag here. DeepSeek presents both potential threats and potential benefits. It's a reminder that technological advancements are rarely black and white. They often come with this complex mix of risks and opportunities.
It's a reminder that we need to approach these developments with a nuanced perspective carefully, considering both the downsides and the upsides.
Well, we've covered a lot in this first part of our DeepSeek deep dive. We've looked at their sudden rise, the controversy around their technology, and their potential ties to the Chinese government. We've also explored some of the benefits they might bring to the AI world.
Right. And in the next part, we'll go deeper into the potential consequences of DeepSeek's emergence, both for the U.S. and the global community. We'll examine the economic, political, and technological implications of this new player in the AI space.
We'll also talk about what the U.S. government might do to navigate this complex landscape, trying to balance the need to encourage innovation with the need to reduce potential risks.
It's a fascinating and challenging discussion, and we're just getting started.
Stay with us.
Welcome back to our deep dive into DeepSeek AI. As we were just saying, DeepSeek's emergence has kind of created this ripple effect across, a bunch of sectors with big implications for the U.S. and the global community.
Yeah, and I think it's time to unpack some of those potential consequences, starting with the economic fallout.
Right.
$1 trillion stock market plunge, as the document alleges, is a huge event. What does that tell us about DeepSeek's potential impact on the global economy?
Well, it really highlights how interconnected technology and the economy have become, DeepSeek's success, whether it's real or perceived, has shaken investor confidence in these big established tech companies.
Hmm.
And if this trend continues, we could see, a major shift in investment patterns with more capital flowing towards these AI startups and companies like DeepSeek that are seen as these disruptive innovators.
So a potential shift in power dynamics within the tech industry. Could you elaborate on how that could reshape entire industries?
Well, imagine a world where the companies we now consider tech giants are eclipsed by these new players like DeepSeek.
Yeah.
This kind of shift could impact everything from, the development of new technologies to the availability of jobs to the flow of global trade. It's a scenario that has a lot of economists and policymakers, really concerned.
The document also talks about these concerns about DeepSeek's ties to the Chinese government and the implications for national security.
Yeah, this is where the conversation gets, really tricky. The possibility of data theft, espionage, and even the weaponization of AI, it's not science fiction anymore.
It sounds like AI has introduced this whole new dimension to geopolitical strategy.
Exactly. And as the U.S. tries to figure out, what to do about this potential threat from DeepSeek, they're going to have to tread carefully. The question is, how can the U.S. government address these concerns while still encouraging innovation and staying competitive in this AI race?
I mean, an outright ban on DeepSeek seems pretty unlikely, right? Especially with how connected the global internet is and the possibility of retaliation.
Yeah, a complete ban would be tough to enforce, and it could backfire. It might even push China further down a path of technological isolationism.
Right.
A more likely scenario is something more like a multi-pronged approach.
Could you break that down for us? What would a multi-pronged approach look like?
Well, one strategy is to strengthen export controls. The U.S. could make the restrictions on exporting advanced AI chips and technology to China even tighter. That would make it a lot harder for DeepSeek to get the hardware they need to develop their AI models.
That seems logical.
Yeah.
But, as we've seen, China's been pretty good at getting around sanctions in the past. What other strategies might the U.S. consider?
Another approach is to invest heavily in, our own domestic AI research and development.
Yeah.
The U.S. could really pour resources into its own AI initiatives, encouraging innovation within our own borders and reducing our reliance on potentially risky foreign technology.
So kind of like a strategic counteroffensive in the AI arena. What else could be part of this multi-pronged approach?
Fostering international collaboration is key. The U.S. could work with its allies to, come up with shared standards for AI development, data security, and ethical use. This could involve intelligence sharing, joint research projects, and just coordinated efforts to counter any, malicious use of AI technology.
Like a global AI alliance,
Yeah.
right? A united front against the misuse of this powerful technology.
Right.
But it's not all about defense, is it? There's also the need to, encourage the responsible and ethical development of AI.
Absolutely. The U.S. could take the lead in shaping global norms for AI, advocating for transparency, accountability, and human-centered design principles.
Right.
It's about making sure that AI technology is developed and used in a way that actually benefits everyone.
So it's not just about who has the best AI, but about how that power is used and who benefits from it.
Exactly. DeepSeek has really forced us to think about some big questions. The role of technology in society, the balance between innovation and security, and the consequences of unchecked AI development. These are questions for everyone, not just governments and corporations.
That's a great point. It suggests that the future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us, but something we're all actively shaping through our choices and actions.
Right. And as we move forward in this AI-powered world, let's not forget the most important technology isn't the one with the most processing power or the fanciest algorithms. It's the technology that's guided by human values, empathy, and a vision for a better future.
Well said. Before we move on to the last part of our DeepSeek deep dive, I want to make sure we've answered any questions you might have about, the potential consequences of DeepSeek's rise and the strategies the U.S. could use. Anything else you want to explore before we wrap up? So we've talked a lot about DeepSeek, their sudden rise, the controversies, all the potential consequences for the global AI landscape. And now in this final part, I want to shift gears a bit and focus on the future.
Sounds good.
The document really emphasizes DeepSeek's open source nature, and you mentioned that before. Can you talk a bit more about how that could change AI development?
Sure. Think of it like this open source AI is like opening up the lab and inviting everyone in to, tinker, experiment, and contribute. In the past, developing advanced AI took massive resources, things that only huge corporations or governments could afford. But with open source models, anyone with the skills and the interest can jump in.
So it's like democratizing access to AI technology.
Yeah. Exactly. And this could lead to, a surge in AI development, not just in China and the US, but all over the world. We might see tons of AI startups pop up new applications across industries. We could even see solutions to problems we haven't even thought of yet coming from unexpected places.
That's a pretty exciting thought. But doesn't it also come with some risks? Like if AI technology becomes easier to get, couldn't that also lead to people using it for bad things?
You're right. That's the other side of the coin. As AI gets more powerful and more accessible, we need to think about safeguards.
Yeah.
We need ethical guidelines, international cooperation, responsible development practices, making sure AI is used for good, not for harm.
Makes sense. It seems like we're entering uncharted territory here with amazing opportunities and potential pitfalls. How do you see this competition playing out, between countries and companies? In this new AI landscape?
Well, the competition for AI dominance is already pretty intense, and it's probably going to get even tougher. Some people are calling it the new space race. But instead of rockets and satellites, it's algorithms and data that are the weapons of choice.
It's a crazy thing to think about. What kind of breakthroughs could we see in this new era of AI competition?
Well, we're already seeing rapid advancements in machine learning, natural language processing, robotics, you name it. Imagine personalized healthcare that's tailored to your individual DNA, self-driving cars that can handle anything, or smart homes that know what you need before you even ask. These are just a few examples of what might be possible.
It's both exciting and a little scary, right? Like we're on the verge of something huge, but we don't know exactly what's coming.
That's the thing about these technological leaps. They force us to adapt, to learn, and to reimagine what's possible. But through all the uncertainty, one thing's for sure, the future of AI isn't something that's just happening to us. We're creating it through the choices we make today.
So we need to be informed, engaged, and thoughtful about those choices, both as individuals and as a society.
Absolutely. As we wrap up this deep dive into DeepSeek, let's remember that the AI revolution isn't a zero-sum game. It's not about one country or company winning while everyone else loses.
Right.
It's about figuring out how to use the power of AI for the good of all humanity while also recognizing and addressing the risks.
It's about collaboration, sharing what we know, and working together to face the challenges and opportunities that AI brings.
Exactly. So as you continue to learn about AI and how it's changing the world, stay curious, stay critical, and stay engaged in shaping the future of this incredibly powerful technology.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into DeepSeek. We hope you've learned something new and that you have a better understanding of this complex and rapidly changing world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions.